Hey everybody, Amanda here. So, I wanted to go ahead and share my between life regression story with you guys. It was a really interesting experience, and yeah, just so many crazy, cool, fun, interesting things happened. So, I really wanted to be able to share my story with you all, especially because I feel like some of you can relate in many ways. So, I had not done a one on one between life regression session before, although I have listened to recordings. But for me, I think I even said this in I think I even said this in my past life story that I shared. When I go into, I don't know what you want to say, like a deep state, I kind of don't follow the recordings and the directions very well within a session because I go so deep that I'm just like, my brain feels like it's going all over the place. So it's like, yeah, I'm still kind of following, but it just feels really scattered and I don't remember as much. So I wanted to go ahead and just do a one on one between life regression session and gain, personal insight into the experience of what a between life session is like. Of course, I realize that it's not going to be the exact same for everybody. There's going to be similarities though. So I just feel like doing sessions in person is way, way easier when you have somebody guiding you. So by doing that and gaining that personal insight, I can kind of know what other people go through when I do these sessions myself with others. So beyond that, I also wanted to, really gain an understanding on what I'm capable of within my life. Because if, I guess I should say this, if you haven't listened to my, what is a between life regression session, I explain all the details on what exactly happens, what the purpose of the session is. So, a between life regression session can really help you clarify your purpose, understand if you are going on a path that feels right for your soul, I guess would be the best way to say it, or maybe like how you can make certain shifts to be able to do something that aligns more with your soul calling, your soul mission, however you want to refer to that. So that was the intention of my sessions, is to really just understand, am I doing all that I can do within this life um, for the purpose of what I came here to do? And, how can I release some of my fears? And if there are any karmic bonds, how can I go about doing that? So that way I know that I am living this life with the most purpose and intention and clarity that I possibly can. So when I went into this session, as I was going through it, it was very interesting. Some super interesting things will come up. And of course, you guys will have to wait for me to really get to the super interesting stuff. But I feel like the best place to start would just be, at the beginning, what I experienced. So, with the between life regression session, you do start off by going into a past life because to go into the between lives, you need to access kind of like um, a death. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to say it. You need to be able to access a death scene so that way you can go into the between lives realm. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like 100% necessary that you absolutely have to do that because some people will just go straight into a between lives. But the point of going into a past life is to connect with whatever, whatever is relevant to what you want to experience and understand. So it's just it's just another way to yeah, connect with everything and understand it all better. So when I went into my past life, I started off as a 38-year-old woman and I was walking through the forest picking mushrooms and herbs. It's kind of similar in some ways to the past lives that I experienced that I also shared in my past life story. I felt like I was a healer. And during this experience, it was really calm and enjoyable. And what I understood from that life is that it was just a calm, peaceful, enjoyable life. It was a life filled with a lot of peace. And in that life, my relationship with my son was beautiful. So, in that life, it was me, it was my son. At that time, it was just me and my son. I did not pick up on anybody else there. No, partner, no other children, nothing like that. In my relationship with my son, we got along really well, and it was just interesting, like how different that life was from what I'm experiencing now. And that's not even to say like my life is extremely hard and full of trauma or anything like that, but I have experienced, quite a lot of difficulties in my current life, which of course most people do. And I'm not going to share every single thing that I've gone through, but yeah, the experience that I felt from that past life felt it felt far easier than my experiences so far in my current life. So what I was able to understand is just that, it was showing me the contrast that it's possible to have a peaceful life, to experience that, to connect with that, and even bring that experience into my current life. So in that past life, when I came to my death scene, I do recall lying in my bed, and I wasn't in any great pain. I was just, tired and frail, and it was just basically my time to go. So I did notice that my son and his family were nearby to comfort and care for me. And honestly, it just felt really good to be so well taken care of and to have a life full of so much peace and kindness and love. That's just what kept coming back to me, was just that overall feeling of that experience. Now, when I left my body, I felt called to understand why I was shown this life, which I've kind of already mentioned a little bit of why. And the message I received is that I needed to know that I've lived lives that aren't full of chaos and pain and discomfort and struggle and suffering. I have experienced lives where I've been able to embody that sense of peace and eternal love, which is what that past life was all about. So the imprints I carried forward from that life were to help me to move through any lives of difficulty and struggle. I've had a number of struggles. I've had quite a lot of difficulties. I've had difficulties with my son. I've had difficulties with my health. I've had difficulties with my family as a child growing up. I've had difficulties. I feel like I've mentioned this in another video, but I've had difficulties with my own addictions. This has not been an easy life, but it has been a life where I have grown so much. But the important thing was for me to remember that I have embodied peace and love and understanding, and I can tune into that at any time. So when I left my body from that life, I felt that I was drawn to a light and a portal where I was brought up to a place of other energy forms and light forms. I could sense that they were congratulating me on how I chose to live my life, and that I stayed on the path that was right and true for me. So when I was initially greeted by my soul family, where my grandma from my father's side stood out. And she welcomed me with so much love and warmth, which is honestly how I remember her in the human form in this world. She passed away from Alzheimer's, but even in that condition, she was just the most loving, kind person ever. So beyond her, another energy that stood out was my father, which I thought was interesting because he actually is still here on the earthly plane. But something important to note is we can still be in a between lives realm even though we exist on earth. We're multi-dimensional beings. We experience life in many forms all at once. Some would say that we experience more than one life at the same time. Like, there really is no such thing as linear time. It's all happening simultaneously. But of course, you can take that however you want. So upon meeting them, I came across my spirit guide next, and the helper that is usually there, which is an owl. And the owl represents, my deep inner wisdom and connection to the higher dimensions that are very out of the world, out of this world, and I would say galactic. Due to my absolutely beautiful life that I had lived in that past life, I didn't actually need any healing, which can be received when you go into the Between Lives realm. So because I didn't really need any healing, it was more so a reminder for me of the healing power that I hold within myself that I'm able to access at any time. And, it's also a reminder for my purpose of why I'm currently here. I am a healer. I've always kind of known in so many different ways that I am. Just based on my interests alone, it would really explain that. I was a vet tech at one point in time. I provided medicine and healing to animals. I have always been deeply connected to the environment and Mother Nature, having spent much of my time outside as a child, and even now I do my best, but you know how life goes sometimes. And when you live in a cold environment and don't like cold weather, I don't always go outside. But I definitely care for the environment. So I am truly a healer, and I was just being reminded of that fact. So as I sat with my spirit guides, I was shown how the past life I experienced and the lessons learned are here to assist me with my current life. I've already learned to embody a calm and peaceful energy, so whenever I'm looking to return to that state, I can. I can return to the wise, elderly woman who is full of peace, love, and compassion for all in my life, and in return, those around me will show me peace, love, and compassion. So to release the karmic cycle within my current life, I just have to remember to embody that peace, love, and compassion that I experienced in my previous life. This is not to negate my current experiences and struggles, but just to remember that chaos cannot create peace. Anger cannot create love, and judgment cannot create compassion. Once my spirit guides allowed me to remember what I came here to embody, I was able to move back to rejoining my soul group and the celebration of the life that I had lived. My father's energy did stand out to me again. So as I mentioned before, I thought that it was interesting since he is still alive here on Earth. So my father came forward to remind me of a few things. He was my reminder for in many ways how not to live my life. He showed me that I was here to break the karmic cycle of what our family has experienced, which is a cycle of addiction, of overgiving, of judgment, and of living for everyone else over myself. But, not in a selfish way. He reminded me that it's possible to give without giving too much. And this is where the phrase, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, but teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime actually came to me. And that's what I'm here. I was reminded that that's what I'm here to guide others with. I'm not here to just give. I'm here to teach and to show people how to return to themselves. My dad has so much compassion, but it's been used against him So he really just wanted me to remember that I can still have compassion while teaching others instead of using my own resources and energy and overgiving to be of assistance. It is a co creative effort and is not my responsibility to do more for others than they are willing to do for themselves. As a healer, that was something that was extremely important for me to remember. After receiving so much insight from my father's energy, I was able to move on to my soul counsel. From my past life regression story that I shared, I spoke to how my soul counsel comes to me, which gave me a visual of being pulled up by a light in a portal into a spacecraft where I experience extraterrestrial type beings. This is how it was this time as well. I actually got the insight that they were a sort of like galactic federation and council. So from what I was able to understand and speaking to my soul council, many of my previous understandings I already connected with in this story were confirmed. They also let me know that I am here in this current life to break through many of my barriers. I'm not meant to live according to the ways of traditional society. I'm here to break the mold and remind those around me of what we are, here to do. Renew the earth, heal the earth, and break the karmic cycles of all. Life isn't meant to be so difficult. Life is meant to be supportive, enjoyable, and allow us the ability to tune into our unique creativity of what we are here to experience. I was told that the path that I'm currently embarking on will be the path that alters my life and that of many others. The changes I seek and embody within this human form will be supported in tangible form. This will create a ripple effect of massive change for more than just myself. Change where many more return to the earth and live from a much more sustainable place of being. I wasn't born in Aquarius at the end of an old cycle for no reason, basically. My mission and purpose here on earth is a big one, and even though I feel my voice is often small, the important thing is that I live by my values and support Mother Earth regardless. The karmic cycle of destruction ends here. I won't continue living the way society lives. I've had this thought for many years, and I've held on because I have my own fears, but basically they were telling me that by holding on to those fears, I have been preventing massive change. So for anybody listening to this, this is something you were meant to hear as well. Stop holding on to your fears and just move forward. So a few other things that my soul counsel is able to confirm with me is that I came here to break the karmic cycle of not only my parents, but many, many more people, all in how I choose to live my life. They also indicated that I chose to have a difficult life so that I could understand how when I choose to heal myself, that immense difference is created. I wanted to fully experience imbalance so that I could find my balance from it all. There's two sides of the same coin. There's one side of chaos and one of peace, but they are the same coin. And the final thing that they let me know is that I'm at the end of my cycles my cycle, I meant to say, for, the series of lives. So depending on how I choose to live this one, I may not need to come back unless I feel called to. Maybe because society just can't get its crap together. But I can choose to live a life in a higher dimension. So as the session ended and I came out of the experience, I honestly felt truly blessed to be reminded of this information. It's information that I've always known and have been guided by quite well. And now I'm living my life knowing why I've experienced these things that I have, and I'm fully embracing it all. Life honestly feels good. So once I came out of my session, it was really just a beautiful, amazing, wonderful clarification for me. And I'm glad that I had that experience. I'm glad that I was able to realize what I'm truly here to do and the impact that I can have on this world so that I can do my part in creating those shifts and those changes that I full-heartedly believe in. You know, the values of returning to the earth more. You know, the way we currently live in society is just, it's just not the way. This is just not how we are meant to do it. And I refuse to abide by the rules of what we have been conditioned by anymore. So, although I have been breaking that cycle for many years, I will be breaking it much, much more for myself and so many others. So, anybody who's on this journey listening to this with me today, you are here to do the same. Make those changes. Do what your heart feels called to do. And embody the experiences that you wish to live by. Do go by your values. Do live by your values. So that's the message that I will leave you with. And I hope that you enjoyed this share, this story. And if you did, of course, I do want to invite you to like the video. And, if you haven't already, go ahead and just subscribe. So until next time, bye now.